Chuck Calesto tweeting, breaking now, Brazilian Supreme Court minister summons Elon Musk. Musk has 24 hours or X will be banned. And then we have this tweet from Nicholas Ferreira. I don't know. We've got STF official tweeting this. This is the Supremo Tribunal Federal, looks like Brazilian Supreme Court issuing a statement. The Brazilian Supreme Court minister Alexandre de Moraes has issued a summons for Elon Musk and threatened to ban X in Brazil in 24 hours. Dictatorship continues. So again, this is coming from, this is really interesting. Global Government Affairs on X, verified, says last night, Alexandre de Moraes threatened our legal representative in Brazil with arrest if we do not comply with his censorship orders. He did so in a secret order, this is from the 17th, by the way, which we share here to expose his actions. Despite our numerous appeals to the Supreme Court not being heard, the Brazilian public not being informed about these orders, and our Brazilian staff having no responsibility or control over whether content is blocked on our platform, Moraes has chosen to threaten our staff in Brazil rather than respect the law or due process. We then have this post from STF, which has got the government seal on it, Brazil, and we'll translate about Supreme Court Federal, the highest instance in the judiciary works to guarantee your rights. The Constitution is yours, they say. Posting this, and I can only assume this is the mandate for Elon Musk to appear. Elon Musk appears in it. I don't speak Portuguese, so give me a second to translate this. But, well, following the Pavel Durov story.
Didn't we just learn from France that this is a bad time for tech billionaires who have controversial social media platforms to be traveling internationally? I mean, it is wild to me that this would come the day that Pavel Durov is indicted in France and told he can't leave the country, he has to check in at a police station every couple of days, or I think it's like twice a week. You know, Elon Musk is in a different position because he's, I would argue, even more high profile than Pavel Durov, but, you know,
keep in mind, they're threatening his legal representative with jail. They're threatening a lawyer with jail time. So if you've been following the Brazilian Supreme Court, they've been overrun by radical leftists. By the way, this is what they want to do in America. They want to have judicial activists on the court, people who will interpret the law and do a bunch of things. So this has been coming down the pipe for a while. By the way, this is the same Supreme Court that indicted Bolsonaro for not doing enough during COVID. So the Supreme Court in Brazil has become very politicized. They've detained actual U.S. citizens, some people who are some pro-Trump folks in Brazil before. So it's a scary time for Brazilian nationalists in that area. And certainly it's a scary time for anyone associated with X in Brazil, because I would not be surprised if Brazil actually throws someone in jail. Again, their Supreme Court has a bunch of power, and their Supreme Court is acting as activists. So this is certainly concerning for X, but...
do you think Elon Musk will go, though?
No way.
Elon will never set foot in Brazil if he has any brains. No.
So I took the image and I put it in Google Translate, and this is what came out. It says, reporter, Minister Alexandre de Moraes, petition Federal District, Brazil, August 20th, 2024. Minister Alexandre de Moraes, reporter, I like how they spelled it, in accordance with the decision handed down in the aforementioned proceedings. The Judicial Secretariat of the Federal Supreme Court proceeded with the intimacy by electronic means of Elon Musk, of the decision handed down in the aforementioned proceedings, which determined the indication within 24 hours of the name and qualifications of the new legal representative ex-Brazil in the national territory. So it's going to be all garbled because it's translated, of course. Under penalty of immediate suspension of the activities of the social network X, formerly Twitter, until the court orders are effectively complied with and the daily fines paid in accordance with Article 12, Item 3 of Law Number blah, 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 given it passed. There you go. They are going to shut down X in Brazil. Wow. That's amazing.
This is, I think these are inevitabilities of social networks. We had this with Minds. The Chinese wouldn't run Minds in China unless we complied. So we just said we're not going to run in China, which sucks.
And China's done that with a lot of stuff. I mean, LinkedIn doesn't even exist in China at this point.
And then, so now to go after CEOs, like what we saw with Pavel Durov, is that how you say his last name? Pavel Durov, of Telegram in France, which is, we should talk about that for a while. I think a solution is you decentralize the platform so that you as an owner of the system have no control over it, that it's meshed device to device so there are no central servers to shut down, and then let the protocol function. Because really it's the function of X that's valuable, not the ownership, not the money. Elon can make his money off SpaceX and just oversee the protocol translation. That would be really great for humanity. Because I'd love to see X proliferate. They're going to obviously in Brazil try and stop it from being on the Play Store. That doesn't mean people can't find it on like Pirate Bay or, dark web stuff in Brazil and find it against the law down there and use it anyway. which sometimes if governments go totalitarian,
they'll lock you up.
In Brazil,
I mean,
doing that kind of thing.
There's no free speech in Brazil.
It'll massively thwart your ability. Look, there's been a lot of discourse on X in Brazil. Like, there's lots of, if you're an American, if you're talking about Catalonian issues, you're getting a bunch of follows from Brazilian accounts on X. The intention is to shut down all that discourse. So they're actually probably, I don't know if they'll arrest people for accessing X because that just makes them look like tyrannical a-holes. But I think it's just going to massively shut down the conversation to where certain free flowing of information isn't happening. Things aren't getting organized, rallies, people aren't meeting for events. That is the intention, to shut down X as a discursive tool in Brazil.
So if I could access X from another network, like I agree with you.
Some people like you will, but it's going to be a smaller percentage of,
Like if it was interoperable with other networks like YouTube, Facebook, Minds, Rumble, if you could be on Minds and access your X account or access other people's X accounts, then no matter what they, obviously not no matter what they try and censor on X, but you'll still have access to the platform without being on the platform. That could be kind of a way around it. Dictators will always try and just shut it down with brute force.
Right. But
inevitably.
But the, metaphorically speaking, the chat will never get that big in Brazil, right? If you do all these underground ways of interacting on X, whether through proxies or whatever, it'll never be as many people as it is in the status quo. And that ultimately is the goal of the Brazilian government. And I think they're going to probably succeed because, again, they've been researching this ever since April.
And what is their goal is just to either have them do specific censorships on the entire platform or just on the Brazilian part of the platform?
They think that Elon Musk is fueling disinformation. That's the crux of it.
It's a small group. Like
They don't think that. They know that Elon Musk is allowing people to speak freely, so they're claiming it's disinformation.
They're claiming that, right.
Okay, and then with the Pavel Durov stuff, is it the same claim by the French government?
They're claiming women abuse of women.
Yeah, they're saying that the platform allows child trafficking and drug trafficking and criminal activities that he's not appropriately moderating.
And they say
I don't buy it.
We moderate to the standards set by the EU, and you're going after us unfairly.
That's
I'll tell you what happened.
Going after cops for the cops not finding the criminals. You're saying you're at fault because crime is happening in society and you're not stopping it. They're like, dude, we can't stop all the crime in society.
Well, it's actually much simpler than that. It's the lie they're telling stupid people who believe it, when what they're really doing is saying, this guy's Russian and French. If the FSB, if Russia gets a hold of him, then they're going to have him unlock Telegram and all of its users to Russia, take him in France, have him decrypt, give access to Western forces instead, and then we'll use Telegram against the Russians. The rumor going around is that Macron invited Durov to dinner. And so he flew to France to meet with Macron and was greeted instead by a bunch of police officers who arrested him. Now he's not allowed to leave the country.
Keep in mind, this guy is very anti-Putin.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
And the UAE, where he's also a citizen, has started saying they're asking for the ability to meet with him in a consular capacity. So it's interesting because it's really opening kind of an international skirmish over him because, again, Telegram's headquartered in Dubai. So France is now going up against a company that's not even based there and saying, you guys are doing something that we don't like. And it's very messy. I mean, very similarly to X.
The UAE just said they're not going to do something with the French, that they're going to violate some contract they have with the French. Did you see that?
Yeah, was it the plane thing? I can't remember what it was.
Oh man, it was like a big deal, like a $550 million.
It's like they're willing to take some sort of economic.
They were suspending a fighter jet deal.
Yeah. Right?
With the French over this Pavel Durov situation. So there's a boycott. Man, it's shocking. I don't know.
And that's just a way to diplomatically send a signal, hey, this is a priority. All other diplomatic channels are now shut down until this issue gets resolved, which is a pretty big sign for the UAE to send.
It means they value him, which I don't think Europe really thought much about.
And they believe that Europe is not protecting his interests.
Yeah.
They believe that Europe is not engaging in free, Western democracy. They're not protecting his interests. They feel the need to make these brash measures. Because certainly not buying fighter jets is a brash measure because you're interfering with your country's national security because of this humanitarian issue with someone who's not even a citizen.
So the UAE is not buying the fighter jets from France?
No, he's a
now?
citizen of the UAE.
Oh, he is. He is.
See,
he's got a lot of citizenships, which is why it becomes interesting. Like, he's a Russian native, but then, like you pointed out, he left Russia because of conflicts with the Kremlin.
Right.
And And it's not just him; it's also his brother. I think his name is Nikolai, who there's also France has also issued an arrest warrant for. So it's just clearly targeted at these two guys who are in charge of an app that they would like more access to. But he has different countries vying for, willing to step in to protect him. There were similar conversations coming out of Russia being like, the circumstances are very unclear to us and we want more information from France.
I'm thinking about World War II and how Einstein fled to the United States. It was like they wanted some scientists to work on the Manhattan Project. They didn't have to arrest them and force them to do it. Like if they arrested Pavel because they want to force him to use not TikTok, but Telegram as part of the war effort, well, you shouldn't have to arrest the guy. He should want to go help you. Like that's what Einstein and the scientists did.
And he probably said no.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely said no.
They've already talked to him on numerous occasions, and he's refused to comply with what they want. So as the story goes, they first will ask, then they'll offer you money, and then they'll use brute force.
I mean, he's refused to create a backdoor for child porn investigations. And this is what the feds have leaked previously.
I don't know if that's true. Hasn't he responded that that's not the case, and he has allowed them to do that?
This is what the feds have said. Feds
Right.
have said previously.
The French feds?
He won't even. No, this is the U.S. government.
Oh,
When
wow.
the U.S. government previously requested a backdoor over child sex, crimes or something. That was the reason why they wanted it. Now, this is typically what the government will say every time it's a sexual, investigation, obviously to gain sympathy. But I think it's a principal issue for this guy. It's end-to-end encrypted, his app. I mean, it's not, I'm sure he'd love to help those kids, but it's like for him, it's just he's created a secure app. He doesn't work with governments.
Yeah.
I mean,
Telegram is one of the biggest messaging platforms in the world, second only to Meta's WhatsApp. Is France going to bring in Mark Zuckerberg and say, hey, we know that people use WhatsApp for nefarious reasons. I don't know that for sure. I'm just making an assumption. People use all kinds of communication channels to do all kinds of terrible things. Why specifically are we going after this encrypted platform? Is it because of its ties to Russia?
No, it's because Zuckerberg is neutered.
And WhatsApp's not encrypted.
He gets a call and they say, do it, and he goes, yes, sir.
Yeah, there's already back.
problem.
But if their problem is, the exploitation of cyber channels for all kinds of malicious things, whether it's, sexual exploitation of children or money laundering or whatever it is, like, shouldn't you just be doing this to all apps? Why just Telegram? Because they don't let you.
Well, I think they do actually. I think the feds have free reign with Apple and Microsoft and
Feds in America, but I'm wondering about France. Does France treat
Five Eyes, I would imagine.
everything the same way?
right.
I think that France would get the Five Eyes treatment. I don't know, meaning that, what is it? England, United States, New Zealand, Australia, and who's the fifth eye? Is it France?
They cooperate very extensively.
Yeah, they trade it. They trade spy data. So, France would have that. Or is it Germany? God, who's the fifth eye? Come on, guys, tell me. Anyway,
Five Eyes?
Yeah,
It's the U.S., Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and the UK.
It's the British Empire, basically, plus America.
You got Israel right there.
Yeah, Israel. Yeah, they're not part of Five Eyes. How convenient for them. They're part of Five Eyes, I would imagine too. There's more than five.
Yeah.
The sixth eye, your pineal gland. Anyway, it's brutal. What should Pavel do? Should he flee France? I can't say it. I can't encourage this guy to commit a crime on TV. So I'm just concerned for his life, his livelihood, in the
He's restricted
progeny
to
of
France.
Telegram.
He's restricted to France.
Yeah, he has to check in at a police station twice a week. I mean, I don't think he should flee. He's too high profile, and I think
Where's he going to go?
Yeah, where's he going to go? And also, if he flies, except for maybe the UAE, I think any other European country would be like, we're going to send you back to France.
And if he goes to Russia, he basically becomes the enemy of the people.
I also think
forever.
the look would be bad, right? It would be marketed as him fleeing from the consequences of his terrible actions. If he really has nothing to hide, if Telegram is acting in good faith and they have the right to behave the way they are, which I actually assume they do, then him fleeing makes him look more guilty than he is. It's kind of what France wants.
Man, the end-to-end encryption is important. I look at two futures of the world. There's one where we all know all of each other's thoughts, except for the people that control the system and don't want you to know what they're thinking, but that we're all in like this Borg-like neural net where there is no encryption and everyone is moving.
There was a
as
queen.
unit. Yeah, a Borg
had a
queen
queen.
that you couldn't read her mind, or maybe you could.
She was unique and had her own will.
Yeah. So even in a system where you think we're all going to be unencrypted and know each other's thoughts, there's going to be people that are watching and you don't see, unfortunately. But then there's the other system where there's all this encrypted secrecy going on, and then you have room for error, room for crime, room for horror, and the destruction of individuals and societies in secret. And that's what it's always been up to this point, is you could have a secret conversation in your home with somebody, and then they built spy satellites and they could tap your phone and stuff. And we're like moving towards the Borg like crap.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe and we'll see you all there.